Okay. All right. Thank you for meeting with me. This is our pre-observation meeting, and we'll go over more of what the observation schedule looks like. But first, I wanted to get to know your classroom a little bit. So tell me a little bit about your classroom makeup, like the context of your classroom.
Okay. So I have 34 students. 45% are Hispanic. I have 3 students on an IEP. I have 1 on a 504, and then I have 4 English language learners at the emerging level.
Okay.
35% of the students are getting free and reduced lunch. Many of the students have many assets. Nearly 10 of them are bilingual, and there are many cultural differences which bring a variety of information and knowledge into the classroom.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that you've included cultural references in the context of your classroom, because I know that things like growth mindset really creates like a meaningful context with a lot of those kids, and I know that that's what you use in your classroom too. So speaking of EL students, our English learners and special education students, just briefly, what are some of the student considerations that you're making?
So I make sure that all my EL students are seated with English only speakers. And then I also use sentence frames and model those with my students to support them to support the students who are struggling to understand. I also use SciOp teaching strategies and utilize their prior knowledge. And I make sure to break down the content and language objectives, because I know there's lots of vocabulary in there that they may not understand.
Right.
We also have a word wall that I utilize various scaffolding techniques, and I will make sure to repeat instruction and utilize other accommodations for students on an IEP.
Okay.
Good afternoon, teachers. You all need to report to the library at this moment. You need to bring your computers and your math binder.
Okay.
Please report to the library with your computers and your math binder. Thank you.
So those are all really good considerations, especially for our EL students and students that may have disabilities. Tell me about the topic of your lesson and a little bit about your lesson plan.
So in the lesson that I'm going to be using, students are going to be using their sensory details to convey experience and events precisely using those 5 senses. We'll be using the show, not tell method to convey our events more precisely in our writing. Students are going to be acting out simple sentences and then bringing them to life. They're also going to be using a graphic organizer that has all the 5 senses to describe their emotions.
All right, great. And I know that we decided that would be better that I don't take notes while you're talking, but we kind of made notes already. Yes. So just so you know, I am making notes of these, and I have these notes down too. So next, So next we're going to talk about the instructional strategies or challenges that you anticipate in your lesson.
So students are going to have to pull from their prior knowledge from making inferences and sensory details, and then some of the students do have a hard time making inferences, so they may be really shy or quiet, acting out their sensory details. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be making sure that all students utilize the sentence frames and the show, don't tell method as we're trying to infer.
Okay, perfect. I'm excited to watch that lesson. It sounds really good. Just briefly, what prior knowledge do your students have, or what do they need access to?
So I tied this lesson to previous days of writing, and we've been learning about narrative writing and making inferences. We've also been discussing the 5 senses and sensory details, and many of these scenarios are typical feelings and expressions students have each day, so they're simple and easy to understand. And I let the students come up with scenarios that relate to their everyday lives.
Oh, I love that, and that really makes me think of our CS TP standard, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, and then let's see, no, we're done, right? Is that it? Oh yeah, I don't know what that, okay. Yes, talk about your instructional strategies and how you're going to check for understanding.
So I'm going to provide many opportunities for the students to talk to their partners and exchange their thoughts and ideas. We're going to have whole group instruction. They're going to use their graphic organizers, sentence frames, and then also their 5 senses diagram.
That is perfect, and that will help check for understanding, because you'll have almost like an exit ticket from the lesson.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.